So that moment in documentary filmmaking, and this is, I guess it's directing and shooting, but mostly this happens when I'm behind the camera. Like the thing that I love the most is this moment is happening right in front of you. And I have less than a fraction of a second to make like a handful of creative choices, right? Like
before it goes by.
Shutter speed, angle, and you've got to make those and like get it, or the moment is gone and you've missed it. But in those moments where it's like, okay, I made these creative decisions in a split second. This is framed perfectly. Oh my gosh, look at the sun is now peeking behind this leaf, and the guy's right there and he's doing the thing. Oh my gosh, like it's amazing.
Everything's perfect.
Yeah, it's like I live for those moments.
Yeah.
It's
like being in the flow state when it's actually happening. Tim Irwin, welcome to my podcast, The Studio.
Thank you.
A filmmaker's journey. Thanks for taking the time to come out, man.
Yeah, stoked to be here.
Have you been on many podcasts before?
This is the third.
The third, cool. So you've got some experience.
A little bit, I guess.
Cool. Well, how did we get in touch with you? I haven't even asked these guys.
I think a couple people, like you asked on your Instagram. Like,
oh yeah, you got recommended.
People.
That's right. We've got such a good group of people now that's like, it's kind of becoming a little family that there's a lot of support. So when we do ask, it's like people are like, oh, you got to be on this podcast. But I had actually seen your content for your lens before you got recommended. And so when you got recommended, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the guy that built is it called the Simple 90?
Simple 90, yeah.
I'm excited to talk about that and just understand how the heck you built the lens.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've figured it out yet.
Yeah, it's a very unique, cool look.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun to show what that looks like. But wanted to start with just an introduction into who Tim is, what you're doing right now. You can kind of talk a little bit about your experience, but we'll be sure to dial it back and go through all of it before. But what is Tim up to right now?
Yeah, these days, I guess I bill myself as a freelance documentary director and shooter.
Cool.
Yeah, a lot of these days it's a lot of art stuff.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of I work on a TV show called Artful on BYUtv.
Cool.
Where we profile a couple artists, doing a lot of other content about artists like painters and sculptors and that kind of stuff. But and also a tinkerer that makes things and usually puts them out into the world.
That's cool. So when you're doing these art documentaries, let's just take a painter, for example. Like, what does that look like? Are you following these people around and just seeing what comes from it?
Yeah, I mean, I think my whole career has kind of been based around telling human stories. Like, I'm interested in interesting people. I don't really care what they do. Like, these are interesting people that just happen to be artists, kind of a thing. But yeah, for the most part, it's like I feel a deep sense of responsibility to these people because they're trusting me with their story. I want to do right by them, you know? But it's a lot of hanging out with them in the studio and talking about creative processes and filming their process in an artful way. And then also a lot about how they got to where they are in life and kind of the difficult places they've had to go through to get there.
That's awesome. Do you work with anyone I might know? Luke Johnson?
Yeah.
Brandon, what's his last name? Oh my gosh, they do the sports documentaries at BYUtv.
Gotcha. So I know Luke really well. I don't think Artful falls under his thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Luke and I go way back. Like we actually hired him as a PA like 20 years ago or something on some little shoot.
Way cool.
Rogue Fitness. But
what's going on?
No worries. Let's swap a cable.
Is it a big one?
This is one of the old ones.
Is it just sound bad?
It just is not coming through at all.
Oh.
We'll start again. Take two.
Go wrong, Bill. That's totally my bad.
No worries. One time I was in Iceland, like we flew to Iceland for one interview and like I was so jetted and like it was with the strongest man in the world and like we get 11 minutes into the interview. We were shooting on reds like DSLRs and sometimes when you push the button, it doesn't roll, you know?
Yeah.
And like I pushed that and I was just like, oh yeah, it's okay, we're rolling. Like that's the big and 11 minutes in, I was like,
everything in your body just flushes. This is the second time that we've had an error. And the first time was, it was the very first episode. And it was a different person that was helping me. And with the Canons, when you, if they're turned off, the automatic turn off, but the button's on, if you push record, it just turns it on. So he goes and pushes that, turns it on, walks away. And we got like 11 minutes in. No, it was actually like 30 minutes in. And it was only this. Look, that's why we have 2 cameras on you now. We had this camera wasn't rolling, so the guest only had a wide and my shot. So it's like the worst. But anyway, thanks for being patient. Yeah, that was a quick little change out. That was like F1.
Okay, good. Check 1, 2. Sounds good.
All right. Cool. Well, we'll do mic checks next time. Perfect. All right. We'll just
take from the top.
Sure, well, I'm sure we can still hear. Did you end up having the DJI? Oh, you should have reminded me that. I wouldn't have cared as much. So we've got your audio.
Okay, cool.
That'll be just part of the podcast. It's just a fun little thing. So anyway, back to who you know at BYUtv. That's funny that Luke was a PA for you, because he did a lot of reality TV show work.
Yeah, it was before that.
What? Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, his story was really fun. And so at BYU, are you working with a producer? Are they just like, go for it, Tim, go find some stories?
So I work with Monument on those.
Okay.
And they contract with BYU. So I have almost no connection to BYU on that show. I do some other work for BYU, like the big stories for their football program. I do a handful of those. I think Jack was on. Like,
Jack.
He also does some of those. So
yep.
And that's where I was right before I came here. I was in an edit session on one of those. So
way cool. Yeah. I love to find out who we know, and this community is so fun in Utah. I love it. So you say you shoot these documentaries. What does that look like for you when you're shooting? Are you how run and gun is that?
Whatever the project requires, you know what I mean? So, but I think my favorite way to operate is like on Artful, that's kind of my favorite thing. Like it's usually a crew of 3 or 4 at the most, where if I'm directing the episode, I'm also shooting, but then there's another operator there that I'm kind of collaborating with on the look. And it's just the 2 of us with cameras, and we run our own audio. And then there's a producer, like a story producer, that I really rely on to like kind of make sure I'm staying on track on getting kind of the beats of the story that we need to get. But I really love that kind of small crew mode of operating. Cool. Like that's my favorite.
Yeah. I've shot one video, and that's how I was a camera guy on Making Good. Oh yeah. If you've heard of that. And it was very similar, small crew, super nimble. I was the second cam, so I didn't have any pressure really, just get the extra stuff.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing that?
That show, or
just being a documentary filmmaker?
Oh man, like I mean, for a living, like 25 years.
Way cool.
But I've been doing it before that too.
Yeah. So, but that's like when you became that guy.
I guess about 2000 was when it was like, okay, this is what I'm doing.
Way cool. What's what? I know you said you like the small crews. You love the art stories. Is there anything else that you love to shoot when it comes to documentary filmmaking?
People, man, and just whatever they are, like I just want to do stories about people and what they're excited about. Like the first half of my career was almost all action sports stuff. Yeah. And that was the approach that we would take on those stories as well. Is like, we're telling these stories about these humans that just happen to be a pro BMX dirt jumper or something along those lines. But yeah, it's always been, I think that's kind of been rad part about my career too, is that I'm not the skateboard guy. I'm not the BMX guy. I'm not this, I kind of get to bounce around and find out like, oh, I'm going to hang out with this guy who's a potter for a couple days and figure out what it's like to be a potter, or these guys who are ex-special forces dudes, or, whatever it happens to be. It's a lot of variety, and I get excited about that part of it.
That's cool. The variety in this industry, especially in that, is like the coolest part. And then also, I'm sure you're meeting so many amazing people, and you become super good friends with them.
Yeah, it's kind of bonkers that it's been 25 years, but it's been a wild ride of a lot of cool stuff.
Well, can we look at some of that stuff? Do you have a website that we can pop up?
I don't have a website. I sent you a few things, but
Ben's ready.
Yeah.
Let's pull them up. Okay. And just kind of look at just some of your work, and talk through some of those as soon as they go up. I guess
that's a great question.
You just gave him a couple of shots. I thought our videos. So let's just
we're gonna rely on Ben. What do you got?
Yeah, what do you want to see?
Okay, yeah. So
I did see this. Talk us through kind of this, I guess this era in this looks like something that maybe we shot.
So this is a documentary about a punk rock band.
Yeah.
The band is called Jawbreaker, and we started. This took us 11 years to make.
No way.
Yeah.
Was this a project of yours, like a passion
project? Yeah. So I've done 2 punk rock documentaries. The first one was about the Minutemen, and that's kind of the one that sort of really launched my career. This was the second one that we did, and my filmmaking partner Keith and I did both of these films together, and yeah, man, this one was just hard because a lot of life got in the way.
Hey, that's what's his name? Green Day.
Billy Joe.
Billy Joe.
Yeah, he was a really nice guy. It was funny actually when we filmed that interview with him. Like, it was at his studio in Oakland, and like we got there, and like I was waiting for like I don't know what I was expecting, like an Escalade or something, but he literally pulled up in a minivan.
No way.
He had just dropped his kids off at soccer practice.
That's
like,
so cool.
Yeah, it was pretty great. But I don't know, man. These are hard films to make, and my partner Keith on the film, he ended up dying right before we finished the film of brain cancer, and there's just a lot of life that got in the way. And same thing for the band, like some life stuff got in the way for the guys in the band, and it just was a really, really hard process. But in the end, we did it, and I'm really proud of that one. It's a good one.
And have you, like, what's the plan with it, or what was the plan when you finished?
Came out in 2017, and yeah, we still haven't broken even on that one.
Yeah,
but
I believe it.
It's a lot different than like the first one we did. I finished in 2005. It's called We Jam Econo, and those days were rad. Like that was the DVD era, and like you could print DVDs, and so we actually that film We Jam Econo. When we did that film, it was wild. Like the Minutemen are this little punk band, like from San Pedro, California, and I grew up in California, Northern California. My high school had like 3,000 people, and it was a pretty big school. It's in California, but there's still only like 3 or 4 of us that knew who the Minutemen were in that school, you know? And so when we made that project, it just felt like nobody knew who that band is. We were just doing this because we love the band.
Yeah.
And, but when we did the premiere in San Pedro, it was at the Warner Grand Theater, which holds like 1,800 people. And when I went to do like the sound check of the projection and stuff, I just like my heart sunk because I was like 250 people are going to show up. This place is going to be empty, you know, but we ended up selling it out.
Way cool.
I had to turn people away. And so we got this little, like, in those days, like there was a little network of independent theaters all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah.
And we just started getting calls from theaters who had heard about this screen. They're like booking the film. So we ended up playing that film for about a year in 90 different venues. Wow. And then we did the DVD, and then we did we licensed it to Sundance Channel for TV, and
so fun.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's cool. And that kind of leads me into like, what is life like for a documentary filmmaker? Because this is kind of giving us a look into it, especially knowing that you had that project for that long, and then you had this, and it's like you're distributing it in different ways. And then DVD era was different. Now, obviously, what is it like for you these days? And are you as busy as you were then, or are you just focused more on the trinkets right now? But questions.
I mean, I think the question about what's it like for a documentary, I think it's probably different for as many different documentary filmmakers there are. There's a different way of living. For me, like those punk rock projects, those passion projects, like I haven't done one of those since the Jawbreaker one, you know. And we wrapped that up in 2017, and it had taken 11 years to make. Wow. And but it's mostly like these days I'm just a freelance like hired gun, and like I kind of love that, you know. Like I'm not opposed to maybe doing something like that again, but I do feel like the 2 that I did I'm really proud of, and unless there's like a topic that like really burns in my soul, like I'm pretty happy doing the freelance gigs that I'm doing, which is really varied and kind of all over the place, and has mostly been pretty consistent since 2006-ish, although this year was a little bit of an abnormality, but it was really slow at the beginning of this year.
It's kind of just like, is it feast and famine?
Yeah, it totally is. Like the same as anyone that's doing freelance.
In this industry. I was just curious how consistent it can be. Yeah.
I mean, it's been remarkably, like, if you take a year at a time, and you exclude 2020, it's been like I'm on the road like 130 to 150 days a year.
Wow.
And that's like remarkably consistent how like it always falls in that range.
Even though it's different times of the year, it's like it all just kind of averages out over a whole year.
So sometimes that'll be all crammed into like, 6 months, and other times it'll be spread out over the year. This year's been kind of wild. Like the first half of the year was almost completely dead, which is the first time it's been like that, again, excluding COVID year. Since like, early 2000s for me. And that was part of why the lens thing happened. Like it was a little bit out of like, oh man, like I need to do something here.
That's awesome. The last thing before we go into your story is I'd love to see, is it Movement that you work for? You said Monument. Yeah. Can we look at some of the stuff that you filmed with them?
Oh,
if we went to their website, or maybe
I've never
YouTube,
been on their website.
Or if they have like a
we can look at some. I sent you an Artful on BYUtv, and that's one of the things that I do.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, let's look at some of that.
What's Artful?
Artful is a show about artists. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it's on BYUtv, so there's a little bit of a faith bent, but it's like it's not all LDS people. Like these. We can just watch the intro to this episode, which will just kind of give the preview of 2 artists that we filmed in Ghana.
And how much of a plan do you go into with these? I know it's different with every film, but like, do you have a structure and then it changes, or is it like you stick to that, like, or just kind of with what happens?
So every client I work for is different in that regard. Monument is really, really good at being like they do a lot of pre-calls with these guys and get the story kind of figured out and get the story beats laid out. They have a writer that like writes stuff out before we go. And of course they give me questions to ask, but
that's awesome. That's helpful.
Usually we deviate from that a little bit as well, so it's it's like a dance, between the preparation and what actually happens.
Totally.
But yeah, this particular episode, like I was the shooter on this one, and there was another director with me.
And how, like, because when you're on location and you meet someone and you get faced with situations that maybe you didn't expect or you didn't plan for, was there like a little bit of a shift on this one that maybe you can remember that was like, that wasn't part of the plan, but it ended up being one of the best parts? Or
that's the magic, of every shoot.
That's why I asked, because it happens almost every time. It's like, oh, we didn't expect that. That was beautiful.
Yeah, like you can't be so rigid that you're like, wait, this thing is happening and it doesn't fit within what we wrote. Right. And like, how,
ignore it.
Like, I'm going to freak out now because I mean, on a shoot I was just on, not this one, but just a couple weeks ago, we were doing a story about this comedian. His name's Michael Jr. And he, like in addition to his normal comedian gigs, he goes to prisons or halfway houses or whatever and performs in places like that. And when we went with him to a jail, actually. It wasn't even a prison, which, I mean, that's a whole different story. Like guys in jail don't know what the future looks like for them. They might be locked up for the next 10 years or they might be free in a week, know? And he does his set, which was funny and amazing. But then afterwards, he started doing these like one-on-one sessions with these guys that we hadn't planned for. And they were like, I mean, I feel like I was watching him change these people's lives, like in front of us. And that was not a part of the plan to film. But when we came away, we were like, I don't know, like that took 40 minutes to just film him with a one-on-one session with that one guy. But we can't just toss this out in the name of the structure we came up beforehand.
Yeah.
We got to figure out some way to use this because it was magical.
Yeah. So do you shoot all the B-roll and then I imagine you do set up interviews at the end so that you can talk about those situations?
Yeah. So like for Artful, we usually film their process for the first morning, and then the entire afternoon is interview. Like the interviews are pretty intense and long, like usually 2 to 3 hours. And we go to some pretty dark places and they really get candid with us. And then the second day, we usually divide with a little bit of time out of the studio, so them kind of doing something that they like to do that isn't really art related. And then the last half of the second day, we just spend shooting the masterpiece, like the piece of artwork that we're focusing on in the episode. So
that's so cool. I want to ask one more question. This is so fun.
Bring it. Yeah.
That when you're in an interview with someone, you say that you're sitting there going dark. When I was on Making Good, that was like, because I wasn't actually in the interview, but we set them up in in a building, and then we were outside, and it was like, yeah, you say like 2-3 hours, and they're just grilling them in a very polite like manner, but at the same time, you're kind of looking for things, and you obviously have to feed them things and try to get them to say what you need, but then at the same time, I just love the idea of like, it's similar to this, like when we're on, let's talk about this, and it just goes, and it's like, whoa, this is fun. Can you just talk about that interview experience? And are you the person that is sitting there asking the questions?
When I'm directing, cool. That's the role that I take. But it's like, that is a very like critical skill. Like, and it's not an automatic skill. Like, people sometimes think that it's like, well, I talk to people, I know how to talk to, and it's so much about listening. Like, it's 100% about listening. You know, I mentioned that like the writer will give me a list of questions, and of course there's like story beats that I'm trying to get to, but I'm so much more interested in what the person has to say, and like, oh, you said this thing that leads me over here, I'm going to go that way. And being able to be loose enough with it that you're okay with deviating for a little while, maybe at the expense of like, oh, we're not getting that beat, but because you can always come back and get those, you know? But if there's this moment happening in the interview that's like, they're giving you something and they're giving you an emotion, and maybe you hadn't heard this, or maybe the writer hadn't heard about that, and you don't even know this story, like, you got to kind of let them get that out sometimes. And that's the other part too, is that like, even if you're trying to aim to get to a certain place, sometimes there's like, in the interview, you have to let them go through this story where in your mind, you're like, I know we're never going to use this. I know we're not, but they have to get it out. Like, they have to go through that. And if you're not patient to let them do that, you're going to get a worse version of this that you were trying to get anyway.
It becomes kind of robotic, and they're just like feeding you lines. But I love that. And in fact, it's a huge part of why I love this podcast is for the same reason as it's like, we have a structure, but then it's like, I want this to go wherever it goes. And I'm pretty fascinated. And I love to dig in. I like surface level conversations I struggle with in life. Like, I'm just like, small talk. When I'm sitting one-on-one with someone though, I love to talk about what they love. And so this has been so fun, because I agree with you. It's like, kind of something I've had to learn as I've done this is just like listening and then remembering a question as you tell me something. That's the hardest part, is like, there's been times where when you're talking, and I'm sure you can relate, and then they start talking for way too long. Not that that's a problem on this, but like, you're like, don't forget that question. And you have to come back, and then it's like, they're almost done talking. You're like, I can't remember the question. You kind
Sometimes there's 2 or 3, you know what I mean? You're like, okay, I gotta get it. I gotta, and at the same time, you gotta like be listening to them, because there might be more stuff that you're, it's totally a skill.
You
have to develop it.
For sure. Our first episode, I had a laptop, and it was just awkward. I was like, I'm not using a laptop. I gotta remember. But anyway, this is amazing, man. I'm excited to dial it back and just hear about your journey, because you've been doing it for a while. And when did it start for you? When did your journey begin? Was it really young?
Yeah, it was super young, actually. Like cameras have always been a thing for me. Like, cool. and the one that I remember, like the earliest, when I was in 3rd grade, my grandpa gave me like a little 110 Instamatic. And
I don't know what that is.
110 is like a film format that's way smaller than 35 millimeter. Okay. And so it's just like, it's like the early point and shoot cameras, and they're kind of really rectangular and boxy, like a spy camera almost looking. And I was in 3rd grade, and I remember going through a bunch of cartridges of that film. But the kind of moment that I think was really formative came in 8th grade, and I was at this school. It was like, the school was kind of in a rich neighborhood, but I was not in a rich neighborhood. And so like, all the people that I went to school with had a lot of money. And the woodshop teacher was like, never wanted to do woodshop. He always wanted to do like art or photography or weird thing. And so when he started the photography one, he's like, all right, everybody bring your cameras. And like, everybody shows up with these gnarly like SLRs, like Canon AE1s or whatever, and I showed up with my little 110. And I remember thinking, like, in that moment, I was like, oh, I can't compete in the gear. Like, they've way out camera'd me, you know what I mean? And so the only way I can compete is with my angles. Like, I've got to really think about getting interesting shots and like
I love
from
that.
interesting perspectives. And so I did, man. I remember like laying down on curbs, like, you know, and shooting like these diminishing lines and like just really, really thinking about trying to do something different with my frames.
Yeah.
And I think that moment like started this kind of passion of like, oh, I really like looking through the viewfinder, and I like not just seeing what's in front of the camera, but how can I move the camera to a place where it makes it look more interesting.
Composition, man. And that's like the coolest way to think about it, because it's like, it's so relatable to these days. Like there's all the great tech now and it's so accessible. And it's like these people have these great cameras, but they don't know how to use them or even just compose them. If you know how to use this little camera, like that's so cool to me, like that you just dove into that. And I'm sure your stuff just outweighed a lot of the stuff that was shot maybe on a better camera.
I mean, I don't know. I don't even remember what anyone else's was like, but I remember feeling really proud when I got my photos back of like, wow, this really looks cool. And
that's
like,
fun.
Yeah, that was a big moment. But high school was,
you remember that?
Yeah. And my grandpa, like, I'm so grateful that he got me that thing,
It's
you know?
like it set you on this trajectory and it set up your whole life.
Totally. Yeah. High school was, I went to a communications magnet in California, which means that there's a radio station and there's photography classes and video classes. You didn't have to do any of that stuff, but it was available if you wanted. And I just dove in on all of those things.
So cool.
But
what was it about it that you loved?
That's a really good question. I think in high school was when, punk rock and skateboarding is kind of my background. And like those cultures are very much like, it's very much about participating, not so much about spectating.
Yeah.
But that participation could be anything, right? Like in punk rock, like you could be in a band, or if you weren't in a band, you could take photos, or if you didn't take photos, you could make a zine, or like,
that's cool.
Or you could record, or, and so for me, it was about documenting those things that me and my friends were doing.
Yeah.
And, this is like VHS camcorder days, you know, big shoulder
That's
VHS.
what I started on.
and the video classes at my high school was it was all VHS camcorders and like tape to tape decks with a little shuttle.
Yeah.
And I basically just filmed my friends skateboarding and doing little documentaries about my friends' punk rock bands, and I kind of just never stopped.
Were you editing them in tape on camera, or were you actually using like Avid?
No, neither. Like, this is pre-Avid.
No way. That's
so
cool.
I was editing tape deck to tape deck with a little jog shuttle in between, like a little programmer. And so you'd set it in and out.
How does that work with VHS? Just a sidetrack. Like because I remember it was Family Home Videos. It was like you push stop and you just rolled.
It was slightly better than that. Like this jog shuttle that sat between two VHS decks, basically you could use to set in and out points. But VHS doesn't have time code, so it's just kind of approximate. Like it uses the counter. Yeah, you can view it. You have you have a TV and a TV and a deck and a deck.
Like a VCR.
Yeah, VCR, yeah.
I haven't said that word in like 25 years.
There's a player deck and a record deck.
Okay.
And you basically set an in and out point on the shot you want on the play deck, and then you set an in point on the record, and it records it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's fun.
One shot at a time.
That's really cool. And so in high school, you just started to just film skateboarding, punk rock band stuff. And it sounds like it just started to head the direction that you were like, this is what I want to do as a career.
Yeah, 100%. But I was a little scared to admit it.
Yeah.
Like, especially to my folks. Like,
really?
Yeah. Cause I have no siblings. And so all my parents, like everything's riding on me. You know what I mean? Like,
do it right.
Yeah. If I blow it, like all of their kids have blown it, you know?
Yes.
And and my pop, he worked for himself. Like he was a management consultant, freelance, you know? And so that part wasn't scary to me. I was like, had an example of someone, you know, doing it, like doing their own thing. But I went to BYU and, I wanted to do documentaries. I wasn't interested in fiction filmmaking at all.
That's cool. You knew that was like the route.
But when I get to BYU, like at the time, that's all they had in the film program. There was almost no, they had one documentary class and it was a history of documentary.
Oh, wow.
And so I decided like, I'm going to major in sociology and minor in film.
Yeah.
And then whenever my sociology professors wanted me to do a research paper, I'd talk them into letting me make a documentary instead. And so I kind of just built my own curriculum that way, and it was rad. I loved my time there. And I led my parents to believe that I was gonna go to grad school and get an MBA.
Yeah, you're faking it while you're doing all this documentary work.
Yeah, and then when it kind of came to it, like when like the rubber hit the road, and I kind of had to cop to what my plan was.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was hard for them. Like, I don't know. I was.
Had you shot any documentaries that led you on that path that you were like, this is why I want to do it, or did you see a film that you loved?
I mean, it was from the beginning that I wanted to do nonfiction stuff, and skateboarding and punk rock in particular were like, well, maybe I could make those work, you know? Like I didn't really see like a clear monetary path to making those work, but I knew other people sometimes did.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like in the realm of possibility, and I wanted to take a shot, but I didn't even know I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And when I graduated, it was like, I just wanted to get any kind of job in film. Like I was like, what do I do? And I was trying anything, and nothing was coming up. I was working at a plastics fabrication place doing like custom fish tanks and things like that. And I was also teaching snowboarding in the winter at Sundance.
Cool. That's awesome.
And I got one, like the very first, well, a couple things happened that were pretty fortunate. One was I got a job. My first paid job to actually film a documentary was this guy, Shane Sager, who was just, I think, 1 year ahead of me at BYU. And he had gotten some grant money to do a documentary about Samoan gangs in LA. And he had shot quite a lot of it already, but he had to go do a pickup shoot, and he hired me to go shoot it. And that was the first time I ever got paid money to do something. Cool. And I think I did okay. I blew it really bad on one interview. That was like, we put him like under a tree in a park, and like the background was just completely blown out. It was like on an XL1 that, the dynamic range is like 4 stops or something,
It's literally
and it was rough. But I think I was making maybe 75 a day or something.
Nice. That's cool. You gotta start. What was that like filming? The reason I'm asking this question is it's fascinating what you're able to have access to just because you can shoot on the camera.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there with gang members, and they're opening up with you, where if you were in any other environment, they're not talking to you.
It was mind blowing.
Yeah.
Like the thing that blew me away was the dichotomy of like, because the guy we were hanging out with, his name's Luke, and he was the head of the Sons of Samoa, like the biggest Samoan gang in LA. Wow. And we're just hanging out with him like at his house during the day, and like he's got a little daughter that's like 3 years old, and he's just like, we're going to the beach, or like he's buying ice cream from the ice cream truck, and it's just like the nicest guy, right? Yeah. And then we're like filming an interview, and I remember he like turned around before he's sitting down, and he had a 9mm like tucked in his back of his pants, and I was like, oh yeah, like this is not like, and then and then he gives us the interview, and it's like he was just telling us about how he murders people, and like it's just like, wow, it was crazy how because I think you just think of like, oh, these are bad guys, right? And like that's all they are, is a bad guy, and very clearly does very bad things. But we were hanging out with him and like telling jokes, and like it just felt like hanging out with a buddy,
So cool. It's so fascinating, like to think that the walls come down because you have a camera, and the reality. And that's what I learned in my career. I used to travel a lot around the world, and I was so intimidated to go to new places just because of the news and just thinking. And then you get to these places, and everyone is the same. Yeah. Everyone's insecure. Everyone's got their issues. Everyone's got fears. And so to sit down with someone like that and meet their family, their daughter, their everyday life, it's like, oh my gosh, they are human beings. They are they've got lives. It's just, it can be a little scary because obviously he's doing things that are scary. But to be able to open up with someone like that, that's got to be a cool experience. And I'm sure that happens quite often. Like,
yeah,
just because you have a camera.
Yeah, it's the coolest part of the career. Yeah. It's like, you get into some really, really heavy stuff, and you get into some really inspiring people, and like everything in between. And like, I don't know, it feels like a deep honor to have been able to do this for a career. And like, how have I been doing this for 25 years? Like, how has it worked out? You know? Like,
that's cool.
Every year it feels like the bottom's going to drop out, you know, like it slows down around the holidays. And I'm like, well, I don't know how we did that for another year. And next year, maybe I can put roofs on houses or something.
Yeah.
But then the phone rings and we go again, I guess, you know?
You get to a point where it's like, it's the same with like my business. The best way to put it is just that, like, you see that next month and you're like, I got nothing coming. And then it just happens for so many years, so consistently, so often, you're like, something will happen. Yeah. And if it doesn't, you're going to go make it happen, right? You can go call some people and if you need to make some money.
I call those times, like, now I'm able to enjoy those times a little bit more. Like I used to just like, I was ready to jump off the cliff, you know what I mean? And my wife has always been the one that like can talk me out. Like she's always been the one that's like, no, it's going to be fine. Like it's going to work out. But now that it has been like that for so many years, now when those times happen, I just call it unemployed and on vacation and like happy to have that.
It's so similar here. I tell my team all the time, it's like, we get these weeks where it's like slow. And for me, I'm like dying. Like, this is scary. But then I'm like, no, it's happened enough. Like, enjoy this week, this couple of weeks of slow, because it's going to happen. And we'll have these crazy weeks all of a sudden. So let's keep going with where you were at. And we were at the documentary you shot in LA.
Oh, yeah.
That was your first one you got paid for.
Yeah. Then another kind of really... there's a guy named Steve Olpen that's a local filmmaker. He's not quite 10 years older than me, but I saw him. He was a BYU grad, and he came when I was a student there. He came and like showed one of his films, and like I was kind of like, I loved the kinds of films he was making. You know, I was like, oh man, that's the kind of stuff that I want to do. And so I was really hoping I could work with him someday. The next year at school, he taught just one class, like just kind of a one-off at BYU. It was called Personal Filmmaking. And so I took his class, and in that class, I think he saw some of my work. And then he called me one day. He was doing a documentary about Fuzzy Hall and TJ Lavin, two BMX dirt jumpers.
Cool.
And he just asked me to go with him to Arizona to film a dirt jumping contest. And he's like, I don't have any money, but I can pay you in short ends of 16 millimeter film, which I was stoked to get 16 millimeter film. And so that was the first time where I was like, whoa, this is almost exactly what I want to be doing, you know? Cool. And then we fell out of touch for about a year. And after I was graduated, I told you I was working at plastics and trying to get jobs in film, but it wasn't really happening. He called me out of the blue, and I'll never forget this. Like, I look back at this moment as the time where I now, with hindsight, like I almost threw away my entire career over $1 an hour because he was doing another documentary about an even more famous like BMX duo, Dave Mira and Ryan Nyquist.
Oh yeah.
And
those are the two names.
Yeah. So he was doing a documentary about those guys, and he needed someone to come he's like, just come in the edit room and sit with me. And like, so I have someone to bounce ideas off of.
Cool.
And, you know, he knew I grew up skateboarding and kind of had some of those sensibilities. And he offered me $7 an hour, and I kind of balked. I was like, I don't know, how about like $8? And he was like, what? And like, in the end, he relented, thank goodness, because what ended up happening was I came in, and for about a week he was editing, and we were just talking about stuff as he would edit. And then he had to leave for a shoot for I think like 8 or 9 days or something. And he made a copy of the project. We were renting an Avid, or he was renting an Avid out at the old Osmond Studios. And he's like, you keep editing while I'm gone, and we'll just see what happens. Cool. And dude, I worked my ass off. Like I lived at that edit studio. Like I would edit till 3 a.m, and then I would just like sleep on the floor for till like 7 or 8 a.m, and then like get up and just edit again all day, and just worked. And he came back, whatever it was, a week later, and I showed him what I'd done, and he, like, his mind was blown. He's like, oh my gosh, like he's like, this is it. And right then he was like, okay man, you're the editor now, not me. Like you're doing this, not me. And that started, he and I worked together for like 10 years. Like we had a company together, and and we did all of the kind of action sports part of my career. for those 10 years was mostly with him.
That's a cool gig.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the editing of editing a documentary? Man, editing a documentary, I love that style. This is something I'd like never talk about, but I used to do proposal videos because my proposal video went viral. So I got a lot of people requesting, and I did it in a way that was documentary. So I'd sit down the wife or the couple separately, and I'd talk to them about the setup and the whole thing. And I started to realize the pacing and the way that you bring in music and cut back and forth between them and B-roll. There's an art to it.
Totally.
And that's cool. Like, did you feel like you're pretty in tune to that, and you realized after that edit, you're like, whoa, I kind of got a knack for this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it was a skill I was building, but it was something I was aware of, and I think I got better at that over time. But yeah, those first 10 years, like, I edited everything that Steve and I did for those 10 years, and that included, I don't know, at least half a dozen like feature-length documentaries, as well as a lot of short stuff, but
that's a lot of work.
Yeah, and it really is like, it's funny, like I was part of a campaign once where like some of the higher ups were talking to like the main producer, and they were like, I don't know why we're using all these freelancers to do these editing. Like, we have in-house guys, like, why don't we, like, this isn't rocket science? And the producer guy goes, oh, gosh. No, he's like, it's not rocket science. It's way harder than rocket science. Like, the ability to tell a story and to like understand like how pacing and how, like, there's a million people that know the buttons. Like, I know how to use Premiere. I know how to use Avid or whatever software you're using. Like, that doesn't, you're not an editor. Like, you're not a story editor, it really, really is something that I think takes years to build that like sensibility.
Totally. And just being able to fill those moments and understand when they need to play a little longer or cut a little faster. I think that's so fun. I cut a few of the Making Good episodes, like 8 of them. And it was one of the hardest, mind-numbing things, because like you're looking at days of footage, and I'm comparing this to you doing a feature. That's why I'm like, that's so much work. These were 30-minute episodes. You're looking at like 5 days of work, and you have to just get through everything, because you could miss a really key moment even in the interview, or the way that we would do it is it's like you cut back and forth between some talking, but then you'd have these break-in moments between interviews to kind of transition you to the next story. And you got to find those fun moments. And then anyway, it was one of the hardest things I've ever cut, but so fulfilling by the end of it.
Totally.
And so I want to just hear about like your mindset going into a feature, and how do you break that out? Is it like section by section? Like, just talk to me a little bit about the post.
Yeah. I mean, I should caveat this with like, I haven't edited in 15 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I stopped in 2010. But in those days, like, it was really, the process that Steve and I had, I think, was really fun, because we would sort of sit and brainstorm. Like, we would use 3x5 cards, and we'd have these huge bulletin boards that we would stick them on. And we would try to, like, before we'd even start, we'd like make out 3x5 cards of each thing that we thought would be a scene. And so we'd have all these 3x5 cards, and then we'd lay them on the floor on a big long hallway, like in a row. And then we'd start to imagine, like, is this scene moving into this? Like, how would that work? And what would that say? And and we'd start to shuffle them around. But basically at that point, we'd start to build each scene kind of individually in the computer, and then just start moving around to see what fits. And I don't know. It is daunting, but the thing that, like, now that I'm looking back on it, because most of the projects that I'm involved in now, like, they're 15 minutes on the long end, and
easier to structure it.
Yeah, well, just watching it to realize where you're at, you're like, okay, I can take 15 minutes to watch this, and like, you're like, oh no, we've really, well, with feature length, it's like your long cuts are like 2.5, 3 hours, and you're like, okay, today we're gonna sit down and watch this to see where we're at, and it's like half of your day is gone because you just watched the film. It's really slow, and time in the edit room can be really, really lonely. And you can sometimes get into circular thinking where you're not even sure, like,
oh, I hate when you hit those blocks.
Yeah, well, and not only that, but just like you make a decision, and like being alone in that dark room, and like, I have no idea if this was a good decision. Like, this might be a genius decision, or this might be the worst thing I've ever done.
I would always hit those. Every episode, it seemed like I would hit a wall that's like, I don't know how to get to that next story. You got to kind of get creative. And then all of a sudden, after hours of like trying things, it happens. And it's like, yes, I can start going forward now. It's like, it almost feels like it's never going to happen. That's so fun. I think I love to edit, and it's interesting to actually talk to someone that does documentaries, because now that is like the thing, especially on Netflix. Everyone's looking for the next story, and it's the coolest way to watch history, really.
Yeah.
And for people that tell their stories. So there's a lot of great editors out there. And I'm always I watched one documentary on the plane, and I just had to turn it off because they didn't know how to edit it. And it was like, it's like talking. There was no emotional beats. Right. And it's like, oh my gosh, can't watch this. Great story, but not edited well. But nowadays there's so many great documentaries that when it's done right, man, I'm just like engulfed. So
it's magic.
Cool. I love that. And so going back to when you started working with him, was that when you graduated college?
Yeah. I had graduated, and he and I started working together. We did a lot of bike industry stuff. And we did a lot of work for Fuel TV, which was it was a cable channel that Fox owned at the time, and it was all action sports. And so we did a lot of stuff for those guys. We had kind of a breakout year, like in 2006. That was when my first punk rock documentary came out, which cool. I didn't do that one with Steve. That was kind of separate. And that film, that actually gave us a ton of credibility in the action sports world, because everyone in the skate world, at least, like knew that band. Yeah. And so we could call almost anyone and be like, oh yeah, I was the guy that did We Jam a Con. And they'd be like, cool. Sick.
Yeah,
like,
we trust you guys.
Yeah. So that opened up a few doors there. We also, that year, we had done in 2004 a documentary. We did a documentary about Jared Hess, when he went to Sundance the first time for That's Napoleon.
Fun. Yeah.
And
before it went big.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty wild because
hear his perspective, and then
we literally filmed him. Like, his last gig before Sundance he was the second AC on a Learn How to Play Piano DVD shoot.
Cool.
So we're filming doing that, and then he goes to Sundance and gets a rep and whatever, it took off. But yeah. And anyway, they ended up for the first version of the DVD of Napoleon Dynamite, they ended up putting that documentary on the DVD extras.
Oh, cool.
And then when Jared, in 2006, when Jared did Nacho, he called me and Steve, and he's like, I want you guys to do the behind the scenes.
No way.
And that was like, dude, that was like a godsend, because like up until that moment, like I had, I brought a clip.
Dude, this is the coolest. This is one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah, so we did, it was wild, man. Like, I'd done that punk rock documentary. Like, we'd been doing these other, some years were like, okay, it's sort of working out, but I was building more and more credit card debt every year, just trying to survive, like to make this happen the first 6 years of this career. And with this one job, like the money that Paramount was paying us was so stupid. Like,
really? That's so cool.
And in that one job, like, I was able to wipe out all my debt, and we were able to buy like everything we would need to be fully kitted out for to do stuff for Fuel TV, which like they were a legit broadcast. Like, they expected, like Masters to be on Digibeta and stuff like that. And so a lot of action sports people did not have that kind of gear. Yeah. And we used the money from this, Steve and I, to like set up our company. I was like, okay, we're set to do that stuff for Fuel TV for like the next several years. And that was
wow. Yeah. That's so cool. What was it like filming? I have a little bit of experience filming. Do you remember Unicorn City?
Yeah.
Did you hear about that? Uh-huh. So that was like a crew that was like trying to catch fire, like Jared Hess did. Uh-huh. There was a lot of talk about that. Like, oh, we missed our opportunity to work on that set, even though it was there. And then now they're doing their thing. So they were hoping that would do the same thing. I shot behind the scenes for them just because I knew a few people. And that's, I think, one of the more difficult ways to tell a story, because you don't have a structure. You're literally just shooting stuff. And did you ever get to sit down and interview people, or was it just like people talking in their moment?
Well, most of like our approach was like, we don't want to do, because most behind the scenes DVD is like, it's just like the actor sitting in front of a green screen or something, and then you cut to clips of the movie. And I kind of hated that. Like, I always wanted to see actual production and stuff, totally. And so our approach was like, we want to be a little more in the like, this is right. He's literally like just about to do a show. To do a show. And he's just like hamming it up with us. And so that was our approach mostly. But I don't know, man. It was super, super fun. But there was okay, I have to tell you this moment, like my first day on set.
Yeah.
Like, it was in Oaxaca in Mexico.
Yeah.
And I get out there, and Steve had been there the week before, and then he went home, and then I came for a week, and we did other shoots where we were together, but that was how the first bit went. And I get on set, and I'm kind of like finding my way around. It's sort of spread all over the city, and I find out that the kid that plays like young Nacho.
Yeah.
There's a scene that's not in the film, but there was a scripted scene where he wrestles a pig, like a live pig.
Okay.
And I got wind that they were going to be doing some tests of that with the kid and the pig, like off-site. And so I make my way off-site to where they're doing that, and I filmed the test with the pig, and it was like super funny. Like the kid was super scared at first, but then he like kind of fell in love with the pig. And awesome. Anyway, that was the first half of the day. And then the second half of the day, I make my way back to the main set. And as I'm like walking up, this woman is like walking towards me, and she goes, "Where have you been?" Oh, no. And I was like, "Oh, well, I was just filming the pig test." And she goes, "Let me tell you something." She goes, "Your job is not filming things. Your job is to be seen filming things."
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, wait, like I was spun. Like,
I get that.
Like I was,
she would say that, but at the same time, you're annoyed.
Dude, I was ready to like get on a plane and be like, I don't want to do this job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I called Steve, and luckily he like talked me off the cliff. And, but what was funny is like, I mean, I was homies with Jared. Like I was literally staying at his house in Oaxaca, like while we were doing this, you know? And I told him about it. And I guess that woman had also like gotten into some beef with his wife or something. She was some producer, and he fired her like the next day. Like she was out.
Well, that's too bad. Cause like, that's the most important thing, is just being awesome on set and understanding that you were doing something. But like she was talking, the reason I say that, that's such a game when you're on set, even if there's like nothing to film. If you're like, look like you're just chilling and you're not doing anything,
but that's like
watching you.
That's the whole, like, this is my whole like fiction versus nonfiction.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want anything. Like, this is as close as I ever want to be to that world.
That's
you know what I mean? Like, that is
the
not
politics
the world
of
I'm
it.
into. Yeah.
It's pretty bad, the politics.
So, but the rest of the shoot was unbelievable. Like, it was a lot of fun.
I have to imagine, like this, for example, this spot with Jack Black where you're right there in his face and it's like he's being funny with you.
Yeah.
This is an important, I think, maybe you could give some people advice on just being on set and understanding relationships and when to talk to people and when not to talk to people, kind of filling the room out. Mm-hmm. Just maybe that experience with Jack where you're like, he's opening up to you and you're like, okay, this is a moment I can kind of get something versus like being in your people's face and kind of annoying people.
Totally. So that specific moment that we saw, like that was Steve filming, not me. But that's like, to me, the important part is like shutting up.
Yeah.
Like not saying anything can be, can help provoke someone more than actually you asking a question, you know? Like, and in that moment where he was doing, what Steve did was like, this was the HVX 200 days, like the camcorder, you know, and he flipped out the screen. He still had his eye in the thing, but he flipped out his screen and he just turned it so Jack could see himself.
That's fun.
And Jack starts looking at this, like you can see it right there. He's like looking at the screen. And he's like, and he starts, and that's all it was, you know?
And that's cool too, that he's able to hide behind like your eyes, right? Yeah. If you're making eye contact with someone, they're feeling uncomfortable, but to be able to put your eyepiece on and then just let them perform to themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
The same thing happened with the kid, the young Nacho kid.
Yeah.
Like the next day, like I'm walking down the hall and he's just sitting in his actor's chair, like in the hall by himself, like no one's around.
Yeah.
And so I just walk up and like I kind of just put the camera in his face and like, and I didn't even ask him any questions. Like I'm just rolling for a minute and he's like eating. He like looks at the camera. He's kind of trying to be cool. And then he starts talking and he goes, "Man, I got to tell you, that pig, I love that pig." He's like, "In fact, I love that pig so much, I am never eating pig again."
I'm vegetarian.
And then he like pauses, like dramatic pause, and he looks at the camera and he goes, "Except for bacon. I love bacon."
That's like, so funny.
But yeah,
that's a great moment you can't ask for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I would have asked a question, that was never coming out, you know?
I love that. And it's like, we try to shoot behind the scenes. I used to shoot behind the scenes for Devin Supertramp, and I ended up working for him for a while, but to get in with him, you shot behind the scenes and it was a documentary. And similar to the proposals, these were so fun to make. But there is I love the advice of just shutting up and like letting people get comfortable with you and realizing that, I mean, I think anytime we're shooting behind the scenes and I see a camera and it's on me, it's like, just roll it, just, and I'll do something instead of like getting in someone's, so what are you doing, this and that. It's like, well, it's a performance.
Yeah.
I want to make it real. So great advice on that side of things. I didn't realize you did behind the scenes for Nacho. That's so fun.
Yeah, it was a fun one for sure.
But not your cup of tea.
I mean,
being on production.
That one was fun.
Yeah.
Like I only did one, let me think about this. Yeah, only one other, I did the behind the scenes on Gentleman Broncos. Which was Jared, which was
another one of his.
Yeah, another one of his, but it was almost nobody's seen it.
Yeah.
But I think it's a super funny film.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend watching it.
I'm going to.
But yeah, that one was a little tougher, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, beyond that, that's like, I mean, I've done like recreations for documentaries, where we're like on a set and like doing the whole thing, and it's pretty much like a fiction film set. But and that was fun. Like, I don't know, I was DPing that, and so I was just sitting on a dolly all day.
Cool. That's fun.
Collaborating with getting the light dialed in and stuff, and so sometimes that's fun. But for documentary, the spontaneity of it, the idea that I never know what I'm getting into. Like I could literally get a call tomorrow to be like, hey, can you go to China? You know what I mean? Which has happened before. And
you love that?
Yeah, I do love it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a little nerve wracking to me.
Yeah, of course it is.
And I know that everyone's different.
And it's not nerve wracking to me, but I still love it.
Yeah.
That, it can be anything at any moment,
One of the things that I struggle with on these types of films is and it's similar to anything I shoot, even though you know what you're going to film, it's the unknown of like, are you going to get it? Are you going to get the stuff? And like that pit in my stomach of like, oh, I hope this works out.
Yeah.
Getting through that though, and getting to the end and being like, oh my gosh, get this on a hard drive ASAP. This is great footage.
So that moment in documentary filmmaking, and this is, I guess it's directing and shooting, but mostly this happens when I'm behind the camera. Like the thing that I love the most is this moment is happening right in front of you. And I have less than a fraction of a second to make like a handful of creative choices, right? Like
before it goes by.
Shutter speed, angle, and you've got to make those and like get it, or the moment is gone and you've missed it. But in those moments where it's like, okay, I made these creative decisions in a split second, this is framed perfectly. Oh my gosh, look at the sun is now peeking behind this leaf, and the guy's right there and he's doing the thing. Oh my gosh, like it's amazing.
Everything's perfect.
Yeah, it's like I live for those moments.
Yeah. It's like being in the flow state when it's actually happening.
Totally.
You're like, you chase those moments. Have you seen F1?
I haven't seen it yet.
There's just a great moment where he is searching for that, and it's flow state. It's that zone where you're just hitting it. And so that's like the theme of the movie, is he's always searching for that. I think we all are. Side note, did you ever shoot weddings?
Never.
Nice. That's rare, especially for the way you film. That's like you're talking about those moments that you can't mess up on. You got to get it all right.
Yeah.
Lots of pressure.
So my daughter does wedding videos and photos, and she I feel like she was born for it.
Very
she
cool.
loves it so much. Like she's so into just providing everything that the couple's gonna want.
Cool.
You know what I mean? And like, she shoots she offers Super 8 film as a little add-on for her thing. Like, I don't know, does amazing at it. But she'll come over and borrow gear from me sometimes. But yeah, I never did any of that.
Be a killer wedding videographer. You'd be able to get some pretty good stories. I did a lot of weddings and it was tough. It's just I think the worst part is that it's just the same thing over and over and over. The spontaneity isn't there. Sometimes you'll get those moments, but anyway, I just wanted to see if you had shot any of those, because I think you'd be really good at it.
Yeah, none of that. There was a few early, the ones that were like I did a few multi-level marketing type things. Like
we actually have a
early.
client.
I mean, I feel like today it's better than it was, but dude, like the
Back in
late
the day.
90s, early 2000s, oh my gosh, some of that stuff, I just wanted to smash my head into a wall. What am I filming? What am I doing with my life? But I feel like now it's a lot different. You can actually tell cool stories.
Yeah, for sure.
And do some cool projects. But
the stereotype behind it is slowly changing.
Yeah.
It's like but then that's what every new company says. And then you get into it and you're like, this is the same thing. Dang it.
The very first, that actually triggered a memory because I think I blocked this a little bit, but I think, I mentioned the Samoan Gang is the first, I think the first thing I ever got paid for actually was editing. It was a video for Tahitian Noni, which is that even a company anymore? I don't even know.
Yeah.
But there were 2 videos they wanted me to edit. And one was outtakes of the CEO of the company, and he was supposed to take a swig of Tahitian Noni juice and then deliver a line, and he couldn't choke down the juice.
Oh, that's terrible. His product sucks.
Yeah, and he's like he would just immediately spit it out as soon as and so that was one. And then the other one was just this, it was just live footage of an event.
Yeah.
And it was it felt like a religious revival. Totally. They were singing. There was this group on the stage singing about taking Tahitian Noni to the world. And I was
it's interesting.
This is a wild
I filmed for an MLM early in my days. In fact, the first time I got a big check, which was $875, because I was doing $100 weddings back then. And then I worked for a company called Forever Green, I think was what it was. And I would do their 3-day events. And I would sit there, and it was 98% women, and it was pretty culty, and and you're in there. I mean, this is what they do: is you're in there, and they get the emotions going, and then they get you to sign up, and it's exciting, and you leave, and you're like, "What the heck was that?" And I'm not gonna lie, when I'm in there, I'm feeling it, but it's similar. It's you film those, and it can be tough, but I got that same kind of experience in my early days. It was the first, so similar to you, it was the first time I got a big check, and that was a big check back then.
Yeah.
But good old MLMs, dude. Yeah, we have one that's actually pretty great, and I think the good ones are really just trying to help people.
Yeah.
Not that we need to promote MLMs right now, but
yeah. Well, I think the wild thing now is that everybody needs content.
Yeah.
And well, I was going to say the content has to be good. Maybe it doesn't all have to be good anymore. That's maybe changing.
Isn't that
true? But I
true?
think for a long time, brands just wanted to attach themselves to cool stories.
Yeah.
And so there was a little bit of a golden age where it was all right, well, we're going to tell this story, and you're just going to put your logo on the end, and that's all. That's all there is to the promotional part of it. Is attaching your. We did a lot of it for a long time. My buddy Todd Sansom, he has a client, Rogue Fitness. And so for about 10 years, I was doing a ton of work for him, for Rogue. And it was just, they were all about storytelling. The owner of Rogue would text Todd and be like, hey, I want you guys to go to the Basque region of Spain and film these guys lifting stones. You know what I mean? And Todd would text back all right, we're thinking this and this and this. And he'd just be figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a Rogue shoot, and this is actually the story of a barbell being made. Rogue makes fitness equipment.
Wow.
And so this is in a steel foundry, and I was shooting on this was wild actually. It was just me and Todd and a photographer, and I was on a Phantom Flex 4K with a 30-300 cine zoom.
Wow.
Operating by myself, no AC, on sticks, running through, shooting boiling steel at 1,000 frames a second,
So cool.
Yeah, it was.
That's fun. I've shot on the Flex before, and that camera's incredible.
Yeah.
That was such cool stuff.
So that was a lot of fun, this one.
So you were just in charge of shooting slow motion?
Yeah, I was shooting all the 4K stuff, and Todd was on a red.
Cool.
Yeah. Rogue is all about their whole MO is overbuild everything. And so everything we ever shot for them, they would edit and finish and post on YouTube in 8K.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
beginning to end.
That was the way Devin is. It still is. It has to be 8K even though it's on YouTube. So kind of looking through all of this, I'm sure there's a bunch of other cool experiences we can kind of touch on. Where do you think this falls in your timeline? Where are we at?
This was in 2017. Maybe.
Okay, that's what I was hoping.
Yeah,
because we're inching towards the lens that you built, which I imagine was
this year.
COVID. Oh no, was that you said something maybe it was 2020 that sparked the interest in doing it, or?
So in 2020, I've always been a tinkerer, you know.
Do you like tech? Are you a gear guy, a gearhead when it comes to cameras?
Yeah, but not Yeah, I am,
Yeah.
but maybe not in a less traditional sense. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But I think it all came. My grandpa was a electric engineer for ABC.
Okay.
His whole career. Like when he started, there wasn't even TV. Like it was radio.
Yeah.
And he tells stories of like his boss coming in, and this is the way I remember him saying it to me. He goes, "Yeah, my boss came in and he said, 'Boys, we're starting this thing called television, and I need you guys to build the first master control room.'" And like,
No way.
no one had done
Yeah.
it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like no one had to do those things. And my grandpa and all his homies are like, "I don't know, we're gonna take this vacuum tube and we're gonna do
Crazy.
the," and like just,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I've always looked at him a little bit as like the original punk rocker, because that's
Cool.
what punk rock is to me. Is
Yeah.
like, we don't know how to do this thing, but we're not going to let that stop us from doing it.
Yeah.
And so I think I got a lot of that from him. This idea of like, I just want to take something apart that I'm not supposed to take apart and
Yeah.
try to figure out how it works. And I'm probably not going to be able to put it back together, but
That's interesting.
I'm going to do it. But so I've always been into that kind of stuff. I was like an early adopter of 3D printing, like in I don't know, the early 2000 teens or
Yeah.
something. They were terrible back then.
Yeah.
Like it was so hard to get anything done or made. But in 2020, when COVID happened, like I had made these little holders that I had designed for DSLR batteries.
Cool.
Like I was on a GH4, shoot with a GH4, and we just had like a million batteries everywhere. We didn't know which ones were charged and which
Yeah.
ones weren't. And so I designed this thing that would like hold them. I called it a battery mag. And then when COVID happened and like overnight every gig was canceled, I was like, well, I'm going to give this a shot. And so that was the first time where I was like, all right, I made this thing, I designed it, I'm going to try to print it and sell it.
Cool.
And that thing like carried us through COVID. Like we sold about
That's
2,000 of those over that year. And so that was the first time where I was like, oh, maybe I guess that's a thing I can do, you know?
Yeah.
And the lens thing happened when, I mean, I'd been thinking about it for a while, and I'd been looking, like I saw a couple guys on YouTube who were like, oh, I took these binoculars apart and made a lens. But while it was cool, like the images they were getting out of them, I wasn't like, oh, that's a really cool look. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like more of an academic exercise.
Yeah.
And so that's how I started. I was like, oh, I want to try that academic exercise.
Yeah.
And I started digging around. I got this old book from like, I think it was the late 50s, early 60s about lens design and like optical design.
Yeah.
And most of it was way over my head, like way over
That's
my
what's
head.
blowing my mind about when I see your videos of your lens. I'm like, and I get it. It's like a simple version. It's not telephoto or anything. You have one piece of glass, right?
There's two elements, but they're
Okay.
glued together.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just the fact that, yeah, you say that's over your head, but you still created something is cool.
Yeah. Well, it was just like, I just started digging around, and like there's optical warehouses that like have like closeout sales on things they don't make anymore or something. And I just started ordering a bunch of different kinds of lenses and just trying some stuff. Like I built a really rudimentary optical bench, which is just, all that is like some rails with some stands you could put different elements on, and you could move them around in different positions and kind of sort of get an idea of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then I landed on this 90 millimeter achromatic doublet. And when I put it in a lens, it made a cool image, like something that I would be actually stoked to use, you know?
What do you mean by, you said something doublet?
An achromatic doublet,
Yeah.
like that's the name of the optical system that I use. So, and all that
Gotcha.
is it's two lenses that are glued together, one in front of the other. And it's, like basically when you think about modern lenses and like you read like, you know, there's 11 elements in 5 groups or whatever. So like this is 2 elements in one group.
Gotcha.
And in a normal modern day lens, like every glass element you're adding typically is there to correct a specific optical problem.
Okay.
And so my kind of philosophy going into this was I was like, well, what if I just want to correct the optical problems that look really bad
Yeah.
and kind of embrace some of the other ones that are
Yeah.
kind of cool. And that's
And
what
that's
I
what's
ended
cool
up.
about it is like you, and I'm interested to like, I'd be interested to like shoot on it because you're just getting focus in the middle and then the edges are all blurred.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about when you say that there's other elements that you would put in a lens to correct that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, like I mean, if you look at some of these photos, like it's tack sharp in the center, man.
So
like
cool.
you can get so crispy if you're really careful about, but that sharpness falls off real quick as you get farther and farther from the center of the frame. And there's also weird, like this one, like his eye is not right in the center right there. And so I'm forgetting the term right now. The flatness of the field of view, like if you get a macro lens, the field of view is super flat. Like that's one of the, because they imagine that you're going to want to shoot like paper that's flat and like everything be in focus. So that's reasonably well controlled in most modern lenses, not just macro lenses, but in this, it's totally not controlled.
Yeah.
So like as you're focusing, you can actually defocus the center and the focus starts to move a little bit off the center. And then, so you can do really weird things like that if you're really paying attention to what the lens does. And the other part that's cool about it is like every lens I make is a little bit different. Like they have their own little personalities. They're not all the same.
Because you're hand making all these.
Yeah, like a 3D print.
Obviously, you're
the housing, like
putting it together.
It prints in 7 parts.
Okay.
And then I order the glass from overseas. And then there's a few pins and screws and things like that. And yeah, my wife and I just assemble them all in my office.
That's so cool. And then it seems like it's doing well.
We're doing pretty good.
Your one video I was watching, it's like, well, we're caught up on all the orders.
Yeah. So we've sold about 300.
Cool.
And this thing actually just happened like 2 weeks ago. There was a little bit of a put up or shut up moment for me on it.
Yeah.
Like I built a relationship with this guy in China who interfaces with the factory for me. And usually when I get about halfway through I've been ordering 100 at a time. When I get through halfway of that, I order the next 100. And so I was halfway through and I hit him up. I was like, hey, I need another 100. He's like, all right, no problem. He did up the order and I paid. And then the next day he calls me. He's like, there's a big problem. And I was like, what? And he's like, the factory just told me that this is not a product they make anymore. Like this is just old stock and they've just been selling us what they have on the shelf.
Oh, wow.
And there's only 4 left. And I was like, what does that mean?
No
I was like,
way.
Can they make them? And he's like, I'm trying to talk to them right now to find out if they even have the tooling still, because usually they'll destroy the molds once a product line is over. And so the next day he gets back, he's like, all right. He's like, they have the tooling still, but if you want to do a run, you got to do 500 of them.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, okay, well, do I want to do that? And B, do I think I can sell 500 more of these? And, but when I first started, I kind of had this number in my mind. I was like, man, it would be rad to sell 1,000 of these. And so I did it. So I ordered 500 of them and they're making them right now.
Very cool. So it's like, that's happening.
Yeah. So I kind of need to get after it after this. Like, cause I feel like, the 300 is kind of the low hanging fruit. Like it's, of those 300, probably like 60 or 70 are people that I know personally, you know what I mean? And then it probably trickles out from there. It's people that they know. And I mean, there's been ones that, we're selling them all over the world. Like, which is wild. So there's people that I don't know at all and have no connections to that have been buying it, but
let's promote it. I would love to understand why I would want to buy this lens. Sell me on it.
Well, I think it's a super cheap way to get a really unique look in your quiver. You know what I mean? Like, depending on which mount you buy, they're between $99 and $150.
Okay. And that's between EF, RF.
Yeah, PL. I have a PL mount version now. And I also just barely did a Cine version that has gears on it.
Cool. That's probably tough with like inventory. Like you're not just making one lens, you're making a bunch of versions of a lens. And that's you got SKUs.
Yeah, there are definitely SKUs and we're trying to handle that as best we can. But
interesting.
But I think, it's not, like I said, it wasn't just an academic experiment. Like the look I'm getting out of this lens, like I really, really believe is beautiful and it's really useful. And it's been getting used in stuff. Like, I use it, of course, in some of the things that I've been doing, but like I got a text last weekend from a buddy who was like, hey man, I just shot an interview with Tony Hawk on your lens.
So cool.
And then another producer friend of mine she was on vacation in San Diego and just like happened by this film crew that was like filming trophy trucks.
Yeah.
And she's getting nosy because she's a producer, and she walks and they've got my lens in the kit. Like
how cool.
Yeah. So there's stuff is being shot on it. And I think it's legitimately like a cool, unique look. Yeah. And you just have it in the bag and
It's an extra thing.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is okay to ask.
Yeah.
What is the difference between buying this lens or a filter?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think with a filter, you're never going to get the like this lens is friggin'
Super
tack sharp.
Yeah.
And I guess you could probably put a filter on with Vaseline or something weird.
That's
you know
what,
what I mean?
that's what I was gonna, is people are trying to attain this look.
There's other parts of the look too that you are never going to get anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like the texture of the 3D print on the inside of the lens, when the lens starts flaring, you start seeing these weird
Way
circles from the texture of the 3D print that you are not going to get any other way. And I think for sure you could get looks that approximate it and that maybe give the same vibe, but I don't know. I think
to be able to pop on a lens and just get it.
Yeah, I think there's something neat too about like, it's a little bit like the anti-zeitgeist of the moment. Like it's a little bit the anti-AI thing. It's like, it's this thing that's made by a guy in his house that you can put on your camera and have a really unique look with it. So I don't know.
It's totally, it's like character. I mean, that we talk about AI on this podcast constantly. It's like, there's story behind the fact that you got this picture with a lens that was handmade. I think is really cool. So then the glass, I don't understand glass very well, but I think the less glass, the sharper it is, correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So you've got the two pieces glued together. How do you get it so tack sharp?
It's all in the factory. Like the way, like the the specs that they make this one to just results in the image that we're getting out of it. So, I mean, I kind of just lucked into finding this one that worked out so well. Like, I mean, sort of lucked out. Like I ordered a ton of different ones and tried a ton of different ones.
That's cool.
I'm actually right now trying to do a shorter focal length. This one's 90 millimeters.
That was my next question is, when's the V2 or other versions coming out?
I'm working on it. It's hard. Like the wider you get, the more complicated it is for a lot of reasons. But one of the most basic reasons is like when you think of focal length, like when you say 90 millimeters, what that actually means is that when you put that optical system 90 millimeters away from the sensor, you're focused at infinity.
Got it.
And that, of course, affects the field of view. And that's what we traditionally think of as focal length, is the field of view.
Yes.
But it's the actual definition is you're 90 millimeters away from the sensor and now you're focused at infinity.
That's interesting.
And that's why, I always get bugged when people talk about crop sensors and like, I'm like, a 50 millimeter lens is a 50 millimeter lens no matter what sensor you put it in front of, because it's 50 millimeters away from the sensor.
Interesting.
And
that's really
the
cool.
field of view just changes based on the size of the sensor. But so if you imagine 90 millimeters and the flange distance on like SLR, like the old style, like Canon EF, where you had a mirror in there, like the flange distance is in the 40 millimeter range. And so 40 millimeters of that 90 is eaten up by the camera body.
Wow.
And you can't put anything, right? So like on my lenses where you put the aperture in behind the glass, like you're suddenly shrinking the amount of room there is to do that. And so now if you're talking about 50 millimeters, now you only have like 10 millimeters to deal with that kind of stuff in front. And so it starts getting more complicated in that way. There's also lots of other ways it gets more complicated. I'm trying to work through that. There's no promises I'm ever going to be able to make one that I'm as happy with the image as I am with this one, but I'm pursuing it. I really, really want to make one.
That's fascinating. Like I didn't know any of that stuff. So that's really cool to just hear it. And then just to know that you're trying the next focal length. And what can you get? When you say wide, how wide is it? Like 24 are you trying to get to?
No, for the next one I'm trying to do is just somewhere between kind of 50 and 65, like in that ballpark.
Cool. Would you ever go to like 16? Is that even possible with?
It wouldn't be possible with my design. Like the glass would have to end up being inside the camera. And so I could make a design where that happened, but then there's no room to put the aperture in. So there's a lot of considerations. Wow. But typically with lenses that wide, they're just using a completely different design where they end up putting glass behind the main optical system. That means you don't have to be that close to the...
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we can help you like push those a little bit, because I think it sounds super cool.
Thanks, man.
And just handmade. That's such a thing these days, because it's everything's machine operated and AI'd. And
and it was... I mean, the other side of that token is like, I would not have been able to do this even 5 years ago.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
because of the 3D printing.
Yeah, like the way that 3D printing has progressed, the way that even 3D design software has progressed, and also just the connections with like overseas. Like I can buy the glass from those places. I can source pins that are exactly 12 millimeters long and 3 millimeters thick, and like all of that stuff. Like, and even just like the e-commerce side, like being able to set up the website, which I think is the weakest part. Like I'm so bad at all of that stuff, and like
that's
and Instagram and all those things. I'm really bad at all that. I'm trying to do my best. I have a TikTok. My daughter's like, you have to get on TikTok to do this.
TikTok shop, man.
I literally I got an account and I posted that video. That was like the first post, and like I sold so many from just that TikTok post. I was like, wow, I don't know any of these people, but
and I don't want to like lecture you, but that's like our world. We create ads and sell products.
Yeah.
If you can find some of these people that are creating images and have them just talk about it, give you the content and throw it on your TikTok, man, that could be really cool. And I'm sure you've thought about that, but like,
of course,
yeah, that could be fun. I don't know, it excites me. I think anyone that can have a product and sell it it's so fun.
Yeah, I've got to hit up a couple YouTuber. Dustin, you know Dustin?
Yeah, Dustin Armstrong.
Yeah, like he came over and filmed with my stuff, but then he got his job at Crumble, so I think his timeline has slowed down a little bit.
Yeah,
but
he changed.
There's been a few other, but there's been a few other people that have reached out. Like there's a guy in England that writes for some photo magazine, and he's like, yeah, I'll do an article. And there were a bunch of people that did stuff on the Battery Mag in 2020, and I just need to reach out and start putting in some work on that.
Way cool. Do you put ad spend behind?
I haven't done any for these yet.
Nice.
It's all just been
That's really cool.
posts.
Organic, man. That's like the hardest thing to crack these days, but it is the most important because you're building a brand.
I did on that first video, like the night before I posted it, I literally texted like everybody that I know, and I was like, hey, I'm posting this thing tomorrow. Will you please share it?
Yeah, that's cool.
Everybody came out of the woodwork for that. It was amazing.
I mean, it's a whole lot of hard work. That's why it excites me, is like, and that's why I think people would want to get behind you, is like, what? You built a lens?
Yeah, because there's one thing to be like, oh, that's a cool story, and I want to just support a guy like this. But I legitimately think like it's a useful tool. Like 100%. I think if you get it, it's not just going to be like, oh, I'm glad I could help Tim out. Yeah. Like I think you're going to use it.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, there's Jack Murgis right there. I would heard a fly. Amazing. So let's transition towards the end of the podcast, which is, where do you see your career going as a documentary filmmaker, but also your lens, man? Is it the workshop?
The Irwin Workshop. Yeah. The website's irwinworkshop.com.
Yeah, because you got two things kind of going for you. Where do you see it all going?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a real wild time, like in our worlds and industry right now. And it feels like a lot of people are in a little bit of a wait and see kind of mentality. And so I don't know what to say. Like I feel reasonably secure in the idea that what I specialize in is telling like nonfiction human stories. Yeah. It seems like that'll be hard to replicate. Mm-hmm. But there's other parts of my job that for sure I think are probably going away, you know? Yeah. And so I don't know. I've tried to kind of keep an open mind and like just focus on that human storytelling side of things, and hopefully those jobs keep coming. But in the meantime, like the tinkering, maybe that's a thing that I can just keep doing and can turn into something that would be supportive of me and my family too.
Totally. What if it was a perfect world? What would you want to be the most busy in? Documentary filmmaking or tinkering?
Yeah, I think the perfect world is as it's been the last 15 years for me, which is like, yeah, man, like the freelance gigs like are not constant, but they're enough. And so I have time to go, you know, backcountry snowboarding or, you know, mountain biking or But at the same time, it's like, all right, the next 2 weeks I'm going to be on this project and really dive in and creatively like, you know, focus on something like that. And then some of the times in between, like, I've got this side. Like, I mean, I'm thinking about making a camera.
Oh, wow. You heard it here first. That's really cool.
And
holy smokes.
But I've been like, oh my gosh, like another thing I'm going to make, you know, like, should I even, like this lens thing is barely starting and going, like, should I even be doing this
Yeah.
right now? Like, I probably should be focused on the 50 millimeter lens, but like I started having this idea.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
man,
Well,
so-
that's ambitious and very cool to even consider.
yeah, I mean, it's doable now. You know what I
Is
mean?
it?
Like, there's like, the tech is like, there's off the shelf parts where you can make something unique and cool
Yeah.
that is different than what's out there, that would find like a home and I think have a purpose and a use. And
Wow.
so I don't know, but I always have those ideas.
Yeah.
And so you asked me what a perfect world is, and I think I don't want to stop doing any of it.
That's
you
cool.
know,
Yeah.
a perfect world is having a little more time to squeeze a few more things in. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not like a workaholic guy. You know what I
Really?
mean? Like,
Yeah.
I love shooting and I love traveling to shoot, and that's part of like, that's been really easy to separate. Like, because when you're traveling, it's like, oh, this is work time.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other options there. And then when I'm home, it's like, okay, this is home time, and I can work on the lens, or I can hang out with my people. Or
Yeah.
my kids are all in their 20s now, so it's
Yeah.
not quite as much demand there, although there
Yeah.
still is some. And
Yeah. Different ways.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that's a lame answer. Stay the same.
No, actually, I think it's really cool. It just speaks to who you are and how much you love what you do.
People used to always like assume that, like, I think this is less so now, but early in my career, it was always like, wait, you're filming skateboarding? Like, well, what do you really want to do when you grow up?
That's
you know
funny.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you don't get it. This is what I
is
want
it.
to, like, I'm not, like, I don't dream to be Spielberg one day. This
Yeah.
isn't like a stepping stone. I was like, if I can keep making nonfiction stuff forever,
Yeah.
like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
How cool, though, that you figured that out.
I figured out is, it feels like giving too much credit to me. You know what I mean? Like,
Interesting,
I do feel like, I don't want to say that I take no credit, because
Yeah.
I do feel like there's decisions I've made that have contributed to that, and like kind of determinations and stuff. But a lot of times too, like, I just feel like Forrest Gump a little bit. I'm like that. I'm that feather that's just
happens,
floating
yeah.
and just happens to land on these cool places. Like, so I don't know. I feel deeply grateful, I guess, that it has worked out for so long.
That's cool. I mean, you're humble. You've got humility, which is sweet.
It can all fall apart tomorrow.
yeah.
That's built into freelance.
Yeah,
Right.
100%.
Like if you're a full timer, like, sometimes I think you're not kept on your toes as much, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're a freelance, you're really only as good as every project you do, and word gets out fast,
Yeah.
you know. And so, I think if you can be someone that can perform well, technically, like skill wise, and you can be easy to get along with, and be on time, like those are the three like biggies.
I mean, you probably heard Jack's thing. It was like those three
Oh,
things.
he's said
those
similar
three
things,
man.
right?
It comes up in every podcast, and I think that the people that I'm having on here, there's a reason they're on here, and it's because people like them, and so you're being referred, or they're friends of mine, and you're a good hang. Like that's like you said, if you're gonna have a career that's gonna last, you need people to call you back, or you need referrals. Otherwise, it's all just gonna die, and then it's all of a sudden, okay, I guess I can't work with anybody anymore.
In school, Tom Leffler was like the head of the film department, or I don't know if that was his title, but he was one of the guys in the film department, and he used to always say, like, "Are you being hard to work with?"
Huh.
And like that always stuck with me.
Yeah.
You know? Like, oh, I want to be easy to work with.
Yeah, you don't want to be a burden. You want to like help.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I mean, I think that's why, I mean, you know this, you've had 25 years of work, and I just think it'll continue, and I'm stoked for you on this lens. I think it's so cool, and I'm excited to watch where that goes and turn into something else, other lenses, other cameras. So I'm impressed. So thanks for sharing all that. The last thing that we do in this, I was going to ask for advice, but I think the way you ended that was perfect. Like,
Okay.
great advice. Unless you have one that you thought about, you were like, actually, I got to get this out. Any advice for someone that would want to tinker or be a documentary filmmaker?
I mean, I think for me, it's maybe this is outdated advice, because the possibilities feel real now. Like it does feel like you could do anything. But like when I was coming up, like the idea that like you could make your own product and sell it to someone, like that didn't feel like a real option.
How would you do it?
And to me, that comes back to the idea of punk rock and skateboarding. It's the idea that like when you were watching, like Mike Watt was the the guy in my first documentary, like the main character in my first documentary. And he used to talk about like how disillusioned he was as a young person with arena rock. Like they would go to these concerts in these arenas and like music was this thing that happened in this place far from you. Like that was not something you could be a part of. And that was what turned him on to punk rock, was like, no, we're going to participate in this. And so I guess my advice to young people is like, whatever it is, like making stuff, making films, making music, creative pursuits, like bring it to a level where like you can do it. Don't think of it as something like that's too far away from me. That's a realm that I can't be involved in.
I love that. It's like kind of like taking baby steps. Like don't look at that so far away that it's almost unattainable. But it's like that is, but like take what's there for you. And it's like what you're doing with the lens. I mean,
that's born out of a punk rock tradition. Like I don't know how to make a lens, but I'm gonna make one. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do this.
Same with the camera. I'm like, whoa, I'm looking at the finished product, and you're like, no. We got to start with these things that I know are attainable, and then push it. Great advice. Glad you ended up doing that. So we ended up asking a question. I don't know if we prepped you for this. We prep him?
Hit me.
We just started this like 4 episodes ago. So we ask a question. We ask you to ask the next guest a question, and you don't know who that guest is. They'll answer your question. It can be about anything in life, whether that relates to your career or just life in general. And then at the end, and then we will, is it after that? We actually ask you the question the last guest asked.
Oh,
okay. So just be thinking about that in the back of your mind, but then we'll ask you the question that
the last guest said.
Was it Garrett? Oh, Garrett Batty.
Oh yeah, I know Garrett.
Yeah. So he was on here last week, and what was the question?
Who's your pet peeve with plot devices?
I need to write these down because I have to repeat it. We should do this before. What is your pet peeve sorry, I forgot it. What is your pet peeve? Okay, what is your pet peeve in storytelling with plots? Like, is there something that is like an easy giveaway that people just throw in that drives you crazy? That's like, oh, well, that was an easy fix, or just a pet peeve in general?
Yeah. I guess I have to relate this to kind of nonfiction stuff, right?
Totally, you should.
Because that's the world I'm in. But for me, the thing that like drives me crazy I'm not like a big reality TV guy, but this seems like a thing that they always do, and it drives me nuts when they're like, they tell you everything they're gonna do. Like, okay, we just got back from the garage, and now we're gonna go to the burger store and eat burgers. And then they're in the burger place, and they're like, now we're eating burgers, and they're eating the burgers, and they're like, next time we're gonna go get a haircut. And like, I'm just like, you don't know how to tell us, like, just show us.
That is like vlogging 101. All the vloggers that don't succeed are the ones that are doing that, and it's like, hey guys, I'm doing this right now. Blah, blah, blah. I think that's hilarious.
Okay, that inspires my question for the next person is like, how do you start your Instagram videos without saying, hey guys? Like,
that's a great question for our next guest. Great question. Yeah. So that'll be fun. I actually saw a video recently, and it was a young kid, and this is probably what Landon will say. He's coming on tomorrow, but he says, what I'm going to butcher it, but what kind of what makes you think you can ask a bunch of people a question, or make someone that's watching you one-on-one, make them feel like you're speaking to the masses? It's like, that's a problem. He's like, you've got to speak to that person that is watching you. You're not talking to a theater. And I was like, that's so fascinating, because it's just kind of a natural thing to be like, hey guys, I'm doing this. Now watch me.
I feel like I used to like make fun, like I never did YouTube videos or like Instagram until the lens stuff, you know what I mean? And I used to always, in my mind, I was like, why do they always start with hey guys? And now that I have to do it, I'm like, how do I start this video without saying hey guys? And the only one, like the main lens video, I think that was the genius one. Maybe that's why it got so many views, but I was like, this is a lens you've never seen before.
And it was speaking to that
I was speaking to the cat, you know?
So smart.
But every like update I've been there is like, hey guys, I just want to give you an update. And I'm just like, what do I do here?
Yeah, using you is important. And I used to vlog 10 to 15 years ago, and saying you versus guys was always something that I tried to do. But oh man, I was going to talk about a point and it's just leaving me. But hey guy. Oh yeah, it's the way that I start this podcast. I do it often where it's like, I think I might say, hey, welcome. I don't even welcome the viewer. I apologize. I need to start welcoming the viewer, that one person that's watching our podcast. But no, I think that's a really good question. And I think our guest, we're having him in tomorrow, is going to love that one because he's a social media person.
Okay, I'm going to look forward to the answer because I need it.
We're going to start tying them together as we get more in the bank.
I'm such an amateur at that stuff. Like every time I open TikTok, I've never felt older than when I open TikTok because I'm just like, I feel like I don't even know how to navigate or anything. I'm like, man, I'm
getting there, man.
I got one more little tidbit to throw in here because running off that TikTok thing, like, I mean, I'm 52, right? Like solidly Gen X. And like when I was growing up as a fan of punk rock, like that was the generation gap. Like, my parents would hear this punk rock and they're like, what? Like, that's not even music. Like, what am I even hearing? And so growing up, I was like, oh, my kids are going to be listening to these weird like beeps and clicks and boops. And I'm just going to be like, what? That's not music. Like, what is this? But in reality, like my kids and I, we listen to the same stuff. Like there's so much overlap. And so I was like, man, what is the generation gap now? And it's 100% like meme culture, like comedy. Like, my kids will like show me this meme and it's this language and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm even looking at. And for them, it's like, it's 13 memes deep. And like, if you don't know this and you don't speak this language and they're showing me this, I'm like, oh, this is the generation gap.
That's fascinating. Yeah, because it is true. I'm the same way with my young kids. They love my music and we listen to the same things. And I actually love new music that's coming out. But there was that like huge gap for sure. The memes, man. My oldest is 9, so he hasn't got a phone yet, but I'm sure I'm going to fill that in the next. I think I still do it often. Like, I think sus, that was the word that like last year I was like, what the heck does that mean? And everyone here at my office is like, you don't know what sauce is? It's been around for like 5 years.
I'm getting comments on like my latest Lens videos. Like, I think on the last one where I was saying I was caught up on orders, you know, and I was like, I actually have 6 or 7 or 8 of them in stock right now. And I just had like comment after comment, like 6, 7, 6, 7. Like that's one of the new things. I'm just like, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I can't even tell you either. Okay. Well, Tim, thanks for coming on, man, taking the time. This was a great podcast. It was so fun to hear just about your mind, but also documentary. I just geek out on that stuff because it is an art. It's a totally different way to tell a story. So thank you for spreading the knowledge, and I hope I wish you luck with that lens.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's a lot of fun to be here.
I'm excited to watch. And anyone that's watching, go follow, go buy a lens.
Functional Films is the Instagram, and irwinworkshop.com is the website.
Perfect. Let's end it there. Thanks so much.